Okay. Guys, can you leave, please? Oops. Hi, I'm Jono, and if you're new here, I do pencil drawings. So I've been recording myself for the last 6 years, but the reality of that situation wasn't what I thought it would be. Also, a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, but more about them later. I had this idea of what my career would look like. I think the dream started in high school. I had this image of me drawing for hours on end, listening to some beautiful music with maybe rain on the window, a heater, a cup of tea. It was the most peaceful idea of what I could imagine my job being. And the reality of how things turned out were quite far from that. And I think filming my work is partially responsible for quite a large part of that dream being crushed. I've moved to my home studio. It's a lot quieter here for me, and I think I've done this recently as kind of an attempt to get back to that old romantic dream, but still have the camera here and the camera there. As I said, I started filming my work about 6 years ago, and back then I had an older camera that didn't do video time lapses. It had this constant clicking sound that was so annoying while I was trying to draw and really disruptive. Not to mention, time lapses like that take up tons of space. Those problems never went away. Even when I upgraded to a better camera that could take time-lapse video and be more efficient and shoot quieter, it would still turn off after 30 minutes and I'd have to restart it, or I'd have to replace the battery every time that ran out, which was often. Also, the SD cards would run out frequently. So when you're trying to get into a state of flow and you constantly have these interruptions, it's just this counterproductive thing. The whole idea of what I thought my life would be like was trying to enter that state of flow and trying to spend as much time as possible drawing in a very cathartic and meditative state. And so there's an irony in that I've also chosen to film my work, which almost actively tries to take me out of that flow state with all of the interruptions. A small little silver lining here is that filming does provide me with a creative outlet. I really love film. But with any creative suit, taking it on and internalizing it comes with a certain level of expectations of your own performance. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. As soon as you start really trying with something, it becomes a whole challenge within itself as well. I didn't want to just have a single top-down shot and you see the drawing kind of come together. I really wanted to try and tell the story of what it was like to make the drawing. And using film as a medium and a form of expression, I was pushing myself to try and get better and better at the storytelling. So that's always a challenge for me, to try and find new ways of filming and trying to have it more authentic and almost as if you're there with me while I'm doing the drawing, which is really hard to do. Although, somewhat ironically, trying to film the work starts to dictate how I produce the work as well. So what happens is how I used to work, which was very all over the show, that doesn't lend itself well to filming and telling the story of how something is created. So in a way, film taught me to be more disciplined and consistent in my practice, which is wonderful, but it also bound me by that as well. So sometimes if there was just a section that was too difficult and I knew I needed to abandon it for a while, work on something else and then come back to it, I wasn't afforded that. I had to really try and finish it so that the time-lapse made sense, or so that the story of the artwork made sense. And that's been a really difficult thing that I constantly struggle with. I also started changing things up, playing with the idea of doing the backgrounds of my drawings, those large black backgrounds, doing them after the fact rather than before. When the background is down, it kind of brings the subject out a whole lot more. I wanted that to happen at the end of the video, which gave me a whole new challenge, which was that background was my darkest point, and I had a really hard time gauging my tones as a result of that. So the two mediums, while they do complement each other, it is lovely to film and for me to watch back a lot of the footage. It does destroy a lot of the original process for me. Over the years, I've tried to find more efficient ways of filming, and things like getting remotes for the top-down footage, having those two angles so it's a lot easier to have interesting footage, or to have a backup when you forget to turn the camera on or your battery dies and you don't notice and you lose a lot of footage. There's another camera filming, which is wonderful. But even having all of these convenient ways of filming, I'm still so far from that original state of flow. So the inevitable question that starts coming up is, what's the value in filming? There has to be value that outweighs so much of what it takes away from the practice. And for me, there is. And so the next part of this video is the why. I've loved being able to show the process of my work and tell the story of it in an authentic way, which is also kind of doubled as a marketing angle. And the truth is that this is also a business. As much as it's born from an innate love of creating, in order for us to keep creating, we need to be able to sustain ourselves. So filming my work became one of the best marketing tools that I had. Further from that, it became its own form of income with YouTube and the lovely sponsors that I have for these videos, which have really played a massive role in my career. I'm going to tell you about them later. But again, that kind of compounded and increased the viability of everything that I've been doing as a whole. Another unexpected part that I think filming my work has given me is the community here. Being able to share the process so intimately has allowed a connection to this community, which has added so much to my practice. Making art can be a lonely thing, but knowing that I'm filming this and telling a story for you guys makes it feel a bit less lonely. But coming back to answering the question of if you should be filming your practice, it's a very complicated one. I personally love working with technology, and particularly cameras and computers, and so that plays into my interests. Furthermore, the challenge of storytelling is one that I'm beginning to enjoy more and more, and finding a special kind of catharsis in that. But on the downside, taking on this mantle has been destructive to that dream that I originally signed up for. Wonderful rain on the window, working for hours on end, listening to my favorite music. In a way, it feels like I've traded that dream out for a camera and a microphone. But fortunately, this isn't just a camera. In a way, it's a window of its own, except this window has the entire world on the other side. Before I end this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to this video sponsor, Squarespace. I've been working with them for a couple of years now, and they've played a huge role in my career. When I was starting out, I didn't have time to learn HTML and all the things that go with building a website, and I needed something that was simple, sleek, and I knew wouldn't break on me. Something that would just work and allow me to focus on the thing that I really cared about, which was drawing. And I felt that Squarespace did that effortlessly. I never had to patch or upgrade anything. I could register a domain with them or set up an online store, and most importantly, I could design a portfolio and show my work the way that I wanted to. Also, every time I got stuck, their amazing support team helped me out instantly. So if you're looking at building a website, give Squarespace a try, and if you decide that you love them, use this offer code and get 10% off your first purchase. I hope you guys found this video interesting, or maybe even just a little bit cathartic. Filming my work has always been a double-edged sword for me, and it's been something that I've constantly thought about whether I want to continue to do. I think the community here has played a huge role in me continuing to do that. If you're looking at doing it yourself, you can ask me as many questions as you like. Hopefully I can answer a lot of them in the comments. Otherwise, if you head over to Patreon, you can message me there and I will definitely answer you and give you the best advice that I possibly can. Let me know what your experiences are in the comments, and as always, thanks for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.